You're normally on the TV.
Yeah, I thought I'd show up, you know.
Chat one out.
Right.
That's what it is.
Be on the side for me.
Okay, welcome to the meeting of the Community Environmental Committee, which has been held here at Newlands Pavilion on Tuesday, February the 18th, 2025. I'm Terry Stevens, and I'll be chairing this meeting. Before we start, some housekeeping words to note. Not expecting any fire drills, so if the fire alarm sounds, please leave quickly as possible. The fire exits are at the fire assembly point. It's in the car park, front of the building. The toilets in the foyer. Please turn your phones or put them to silent. We want everyone to be able to hear. So please respect whoever is speaking. Also, you should be aware that the meeting is being recorded and recording may be streamed on our social media platforms. I will now ask members of the council and the committee to introduce themselves, starting with Eamon.
I can't hear him, what you saying?
Introduce yourself.
I'm an Fenny, Stratford.
Samantha Brown, the Lakes Estate.
Ron Hine, Queensway and Stadium area.
Ismail Hussain from Mount South.
Julia Fernandez, Fenny, Stratford.
Hi, Ethan Kelly-Wilson, Newton Leeds, and also Chair of the Council.
Firstly, with Van Southton, Chair of this committee.
John Fairclough, Deputy Clerk.
Will Allen, Environment and Premises Manager.
Yeah, Jace, committee.
Jason Lawrence, Fenny Stratford.
Ray Black, Fenny Stratford.
Richard Graham, Vice Chairman of the Council and Central Bletchley.
To be an event only events and support services officer.
Super, thank you.
Should have chimed in.
So this evening we have representation. So we've got Chiltern Railways, who've been fired as a stakeholder briefing on. No, I'm just going to go to the first bit is. So we've got stakeholder briefing from the train services from Oxford to Bletchley via the East West Rail. So we've got Zach with us. We've then also got 3 community grants, one from Jade Cook from Spectrum Community Arts Community Grant and Joe's Hope and also MK Pride. So before we go, may I propose that after we've done the apologies for absence, that we accommodate the stakeholder briefing first and then we go on to the applications and then we do our BAU agenda. So you can welcome to stay, but you know, you can do that first. Okay. So we'll start off on agenda 1, which is to note councillors' apologies for absence.
Yes, so we've had apologies from Councillor Wyman and Councillor Scott.
Thank you. Agenda item 2, to note the councillors' declaration of interest or matters on the agenda. Any keen interest or interests, conflicts of interest? Okay. No. Agenda number 3. So let's go to the approval of the minutes from the last committee meeting, which is pages 1 to 4 in your packs. So I will go through page 1. Just check if there's anything wrong or any changes. Page 2, page 3. That's on page 4. So I'll take that as a good record of the minutes. Great. Very much. Okay, let's jump now on to Chiltern Railways. And for item 5. So Zach, the floor is all yours.
Brilliant, thank you very much. You're right, just put that onto slideshow mode. All right.
Just give it a second.
Fix slideshow. Thank you. So good evening, everybody. So I'm Zach from Chiltern Railways. So we are hopefully your new operator of train services on the first stage of East West Rail, which will connect Oxford with Milton Keynes via Bletchley. I guess just the one thing to bear in mind here, we are currently in kind of negotiations with the Department for Transport to be kind of the new operator to run the rail service. We've not formally been confirmed, but we are doing a lot behind the scenes to help Department of Transport and to work with East West Rail to kind of mobilise that new train service. But we're expected to be appointed the operator in the next couple of months. And hopefully, as the Chancellor said, I think she did a speech in Oxfordshire a couple of weeks ago, services should be operating by the end of this year. It's a really exciting kind of time for this local area. It's got a brand new east to west rail service. It's obviously a great opportunity to take a lot of cars off the road and get people using public transport in the area. First slide, please. Just to start, so I'm Zach's a regional growth manager for Chiltern, so I sit within our stakeholder engagement team, and part of my kind of role, or new role, is focusing on this new route between Oxford and Milton Keynes, going out, meeting with stakeholders, telling people what to expect in the future, but also to kind of take any questions from the community about what this new railway will mean to you. I assume most people are aware of what East West Railway is. There's a little bit of an introduction there. So we've got a brand new route, and it comprises of 3 different partners. So there's Network Rail, who have built the infrastructure and the new railway. They've also built new stations. There's a new station at Winslow in Buckinghamshire. There's also some new high-level platforms here in Bletchley. They've also built the track and signals. There's East West Rail Company, who sort of lead the design of the overall route, including kind of future stages which will go to Bedford and Cambridge. And the hope is to get the railway to Bedford by 2030 and out to Cambridge sort of the mid-2030s. It's obviously dependent on government funding to deliver that full project from Oxford to Cambridge. In terms of where we are with this first stage of the railway, so the infrastructure has now been put into service, so trains are able to run on the routes. We've got a number of test trains running, both from ourselves from kind of a passenger operator, but there's also the ability to run freight trains on that route at the moment as well. The routes will get busier throughout 2025. There'll be more test trains on the route. I'm going to talk about a little bit later. We've got some new trains coming onto the route and driver training will commence. So you'll see more and more trains using Bletchley high level, but also carrying out testing on that route. And once it's complete and once services start, there'll be 2 trains an hour connecting Oxford and Milton Keynes via Bletchley in both directions. And it's about a 45-minute journey time. So you're looking at about 40 minutes, just under 40 minutes from Bletchley through to Oxford. Next slide, please. So in terms of what Chiltern Railways are doing, so some of you might know Chiltern Railways already. So we're a kind of regional train operator. We operate services on the M40 corridor, so from London up to Oxford, through to Aylesbury and into Birmingham, the West Midlands. We've been working quite closely with East West Rail, but also the Department of Transport to begin mobilising this route. We've so far hired about 45 train drivers who are also going to run the services. We're setting up a brand new driver depot here at Bletchley. So it's at Bletchley depot and the Network Rail facilities. So that's where the drivers will be based and located. And I guess one of the things we are doing is actually employing local people. So about 70% of those drivers are apprentice drivers. They're first-time train drivers who've never worked in the rail industry before. One of the things we're really trying to do is recruit recruit drivers from a diverse background. So there are some young drivers in there. There's more diversity in terms of gender, but also different backgrounds as well. One of the things the rail industry struggles with a little bit is diversity, particularly in some of our operational grades, and kind of operating and running this new route. One of the things we really want to focus on is actually giving opportunities to local communities to come and work on the railway. I mentioned we've also got a new station at Winslow out in Buckinghamshire. There's obviously also a quite significant extension to the station here at Bletchley. Got 2 new high-level platforms. They are going to be operated as they are at the moment by West Midlands Trains. We also operate services from London Euston up towards Birmingham, but also we'll be working closely with them to kind of operate and mobilise those new services from later on this year. Next slide, please. So in terms of what trains you'll see, what trains are running. So the trains, you can see on the top right-hand corner, they're going to be 2-car diesel trains. I'm sure you've probably heard that East West Rail have got a sort of medium-term plan to decarbonise the route, and that'll be introducing some sort of a battery train powered in part by overhead electric wires. However, to get the route operating as quickly as possible, the Department of Transport made a decision to use diesel trains, which are already available for West Midlands Trains. Good news is they're kind of modern trains, they're modern in design, they've got all kind of modern customer facilities, things such as Wi-Fi, USB plug sockets, etc. But also kind of dedicated spaces, whether that's for accessible customers, whether that's bike storage or onboard toilets as well. So they're kind of modern trains with those modern facilities you expect in this day and age. In terms of what those trains will look like, they will be rebranded at some point in terms of the exterior, kind of Chiltern colours as a train operator. However, as I'm sure you've heard, the railways are being renationalised over the next couple of years. So it's likely that in the next probably 3 to 5 years, they'll get taken over by the national operator, which is going to be called Great British Railways, and they'll be run directly by government as opposed to by private operators at the moment. One of the things we have done is looked at kind of potential demand. It's quite hard when you're opening a brand new railway route. I know there's not been a route there for I think it's about 50 years to really work out how many people are going to use it. And I guess one of the key things we're trying to do is take cars off the road and get people using public transport, whether that's people commuting to work, whether that's people going out for and accessing kind of leisure facilities in the local area. So we've done some initial demand analysis. Given the trains we've got, we do expect some services to be quite busy from day one, particularly at peak commuter hours, but also potentially weekend leisure services. You're obviously connecting key leisure destinations, whether that's places like the Milton Keynes Arena or Bletchley Park we've got over on this side of the route. There's obviously historic attractions, there's places like Vista Village on the other side of the route, so we do expect leisure flow to be particularly busy. And I think the other thing just to point out, as obviously a new railway is opening, a new infrastructure is being built, we've already seen quite significant development along the line of routes. There's significant housing developments in places like Bletchley, Winslow, but also kind of big commercial partners. There's Oxford United who are building a new stadium on the route out towards Oxford. There's Vista Village, which is a big shopping centre, which are expanding. There's also proposals for a new theme park. And there's one over in Bedford, the Universal Studios potential development. There's also a potential French theme park called Puy de Fou coming to the Vista area. So we do expect significant development to take place along that line of route once the railway starts operating. Next slide, please. In terms of the timetable, so I haven't got the exact details of the timetable today, and they're going to be released later on in the year, but what you will see is kind of a standard both commuter but also a leisure railway. So first services will depart Milton Keynes from one side and Oxford the other just after 6 o'clock in the morning on a Monday to Friday. So we've got really good commuter links to get across to Oxford or across to Milton Keynes and Bletchley by 7 in the morning. And most trains will run until midnight or half past midnight. So if anyone's going out and about for leisure facilities, spend time with friends, there's opportunities to get back on the route. The other thing we are doing is there's some additional timetable services on the Friday and Saturday nights. As I said before, it will allow people if they're out in Oxford or out in Milton Keynes or Bletchley to get back across the route after being out with friends. And finally, on a Sunday, slightly reduced hours due to pre-existing engineering schedules. The trains will run from approximately 7 in the morning through to 11 at night. Next slide, please. In terms of kind of what we're doing in stakeholder engagement, as I said before, we're still waiting to be officially appointed as the operator, but we're coming out to speak to people like councils, key leisure and tourist attractions, so people are aware of the route, but also to kind of build that excitement ahead of the new railway operating towards the end of the year. We're working closely with West Midlands Trains to mobilise the new station at Bletchley. I know test trains are running already, but that won't be open until customer services until the end of this year. And there's also a lot of work going on behind the scenes, looking at things like ticketing and fares, looking at how we deal with kind of those customer queries, given that the route covers multiple different train companies, connecting kind of Bletchley and Milton Keynes that are run by West Midlands Trains, Chiltern stations in the middle, and then there's Great Western stations on the outside. One of the other things we are trying to do is trying to minimise any interchange times. So if you're going from, let's say, Winslow via Bletchley into London, for example, trying to reduce the amount of time people are waiting for those interchange, but also there's trains out to places like the Marston Vale route, for example, or the West Coast Main Line from Milton Keynes and Bletchley as well. So yeah, that's kind of an update on where we're up to at the moment. Obviously, there'll be more information coming out throughout this year as we get closer to passenger services starting. One of the things we're hoping to do later on in the year is have some sort of a stakeholder conference, so bring those stakeholders from across the route, the different geographies, together to give a key update, and that will be the things such as timescales for the first passenger services to start, some more detail on timetables, but also that key customer proposition in terms of ticketing, etc. And then last slide. Brilliant. So yeah, just a summary really of kind of what I've spoken about this afternoon. So Chiltern, we've also got a track record of opening new stations and routes. In 2015, we opened the new route which connected London Marylebone through to Oxford. This is obviously an extension of that through to Winslow, Bletchley, Milton Keynes. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes to mobilise this new route, including train testing, hiring new drivers and fitting out new stations, as well as the new facilities at Winslow and Bletchley. One of the things we're doing over the next 12 months is really starting to deliver and develop those stakeholder relationships, really promoting the new service to local communities, local businesses and local attractions. As I said, we'll be sharing more information once we've formally appointed the operator towards the end of the year. That's everything from me tonight. I guess any questions for anybody? If not, I know you've got my email address, so feel free to share it.
East facing entrance,
At Bletchley Station.
Bletchley Station, you're only 100 metres away from the bus station, but you've got to walk nearly 1,000 metres to get to it.
Yeah, okay, so Bletchley Station is managed by West Midlands Trains. So if there was a project to be developed, that would probably be West Midlands Trains. But I'm more than happy to take that back.
Yeah.
So looking at this, so your company will only run from Oxford to Milton Keynes, and then you'll have to change at Bletchley to go on to Bedford.
Not necessarily. So basically, we'll be running the first stage of services. There's a longer term decision the government needs to make about who operates services in the future. So we'd probably likely start operating towards the end of this year. We'll operate through to whenever the second stage of services come. But East West Rail and the government need to make decisions on who is the longer term operator. And it's likely to be Great British Railways as the railways get brought into public ownership. We'd likely have one operator operating that whole service from Oxford through to Bedford in the future. But we're operating the first stage, if that makes sense.
So at the moment, you'll have to change on to Marsden Vale to go on to Bedford. Yeah.
At the moment, yes. But basically the plan with East West Rail is from approximately 2030, we'll be able to get a direct train from Oxford to Bletchley to Bedford. And from 2035, Oxford via Bletchley all the way to Cambridge.
Any more questions for Zach? That's great, Zach. It's seeing, you know, all that work on the flyover come to fruition now. Really good.
Very much.
Super. Thank you, guys. Well, you're free to stay and listen to the rest of the meeting.
I'll excuse myself.
Thanks if you want. Okay, right. So we will go on to the grant applications now. Start with Joe, if I may. So we'll start Stefan first.
Stefan?
Yeah. Start with
Okay.
Yeah. So Joe, so the. That's really interesting.
Yes, thank you very much.
So we've got 3 minutes we give to applications. So Laura's all yours.
So we have run a theatre club here in Bletchley for a number of years, but due to self-funding, we had to postpone it. During that period, a number of the children that used to attend have got themselves into a lot of trouble, and a lot of them have approached us to find out if we can start club up again. Unfortunately, we can no longer self-fund it, so this is why we're coming to the council to ask for some help in putting the services back on. The children come to us for 3 hours a week. They do singing, dancing and acting. They get to learn a musical instrument, which we provide, which is either drums or guitar. We provide them with a hot meal. It's a safe environment for them to be in. They can express themselves musically, whether that be written, doing poetry, in the theatre.
Carry on, Jay, sorry.
That's actually one of our students. That's actually one of our students that was going to come, and she was one of our, in the second cohort of students that we had take on from the ages of 8, and she's now 14 and wanted to also address you all to tell you the benefits it's had on her personally, and she wants to help to also to re-establish club. This is Isla. So Isla was just telling them that you were a previous student and that you wanted to help to re-establish club. I've only got 3 minutes. So, so yeah, we've come to you guys to ask for your help, basically, to help fund the club. The benefits to the young people, it gives them a sense of community and a sense of pride. There's nowhere really in Bletchley for youths to congregate that's outside, that's a safe place, that's not doing things they shouldn't be. There are a lot of adult things that go on here in Bletchley, but not really much for the youth. So this is an opportunity for them to be able to engage on a different level with other peers from the area that they don't normally engage in. And also, like I said, we give them a hot meal and they get a drink whilst they're there. So it's something it's a little bit extra for them as well, just in case that's not happening at home, because that can be happening in some circumstances. But I'll give you quickly 1 minute about the benefits clubs had to you. Go.
It's made me a lot more enthusiastic about everything. Gave me a lot more confidence in just like general life. I feel like I can be more myself and be more. I can express myself more than I could before, and I think it's given me a really good opportunity. And it's made, like, I've made a few friends there.
Any questions from any of the members?
Yeah. You said self-funded.
Yes.
Have you had any funding from any like lottery or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
I've self-funded everything I've done for Joe's Hope Charity, from post-surgery bras to rehabilitative yoga to musical theatre to food. You name it, I have self-funded it, but we can no longer continue with the current climate and the cost of electricity and everything else.
How are you
We
set
need
up?
help. So basically, we have a 4,000 square foot building over on the white factories there, and we run it a bit like a shop where people from the community can come in and buy stuff. I barter with companies to get stuff in at reduced price so that we can make anything. So any profit we make has always gone back into the community. Nobody's paid within Joe's Hope. Everybody that works with us has always been a volunteer, and it's any profit that we've generated has always gone back into it. And so that's how we've been able to put it into resources and into everything else that we've done.
Okay, are you CIC?
We're a charity.
A charity, yes, charity, okay. I mean, I can advise on a few funds you can get, because I run a charity called Return MK.
Okay.
Which deals with the same kind of stuff that you're doing as well. So,
brilliant.
So after you finish, we can have a chat about
Wonderful.
that.
That'd be brilliant. Thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions from any members? Ron?
Yeah, what we've got to realise, that's our future, and we've got to look after this. And I know Jason does a lot of hard work, and he will put this lady right. But I think whatever we can put towards it, I think we should do it, especially for our youngsters anyway. Anything to keep them off the streets.
Are the children residents of Bletchley and Fenny Stratford?
Yes.
All of them are, yeah?
Not all of them, no, but the percentage is about 70%.
70%.
About 70% of the children are from Bletchley.
Okay, okay. I'm sort of going into the figures a bit. There's a on page 58, there's a governance cost of 17,490. What does that cover? It didn't sort of explain. Basically, it's 17,490. What on one of the lines on page 58?
I think that might be a comma error.
Oh, okay, it seemed a lot.
I don't know what. I haven't got a copy of it. That might be a comma error.
Page 58.
It's accounts.
Yeah, it's in the accounts.
It's in the accounts.
Yeah. I wonder what it was.
Oh, on our account.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, on our account, sorry. So that's covering everything from all of the admin, all of the documents, the people that we've had to pay out to set up the charity, to keep all the accounting. We've got to pay people to have GDPR. You've got to pay £100 and some pounds for that. There's so many hidden costs.
How long have you been running?
Yeah.
7 years.
7 years, okay.
Yeah.
There's so many hidden costs that you just don't know about until you start.
And is it the children's means tested at all, or are anyone welcome to come?
No, everybody's welcome to come. You can't means test in this current climate. I don't want to exclude anybody.
No, not saying that.
Because there are people who are working that are struggling just as much as people who are on benefits.
Yeah.
So nobody is excluded.
Okay.
Sorry. Is everything free to access, or is it all, or is there a cover charge that's also included?
Everything is free to access. We provide the instruments, we provide the teachers, we provide the paper, we provide everything.
Any proposals in terms of, so the grant request is for £5,000, which is.
Sorry, one more question.
Yeah, sorry.
What will you do if we don't fund you?
We'll keep going. That's what we've always done. We'll keep going. That's all we can do at the end of the day. I set up the charity because I got cancer and I struggled financially, but I had children and they didn't want to give up their activities, and why should they give up their activities? So it was a way to provide a service for people to be able to still access something that was struggling regardless of circumstance. And since then, we had to halt the services, but the demand from the kids that were previously doing it, it's constant. So we can't keep ignoring the cries for help from parents that are asking for services out there. So we would just go to another avenue and just keep knocking on doors.
So I get that we would be making the grant to charity.
That's right.
If we make this grant, will the grant be ring fenced just for this project and
That's
not
correct.
being used to
Nothing else.
for any other project?
That's right.
Really what you've done so far.
Thank
It's
you.
the first time we're seeing you at this council, which is really good to see. Moving forward, if we fund you this year,
Yeah.
next year, would you have anything in the pipeline for raising more funds, or would you be coming back next year for some more funding?
I'd like to tell you that we would be able to have 1,000,001 events throughout the year to fundraise loads of money, but who knows?
Everyone's struggling at the moment.
That's the problem, yeah. Everybody is struggling, so we may not be coming to you next year for some more funds for this particular project. We may ask you to support a different project because parents may say, we're happy to donate £2 a week for the child to attend so that we can keep the club going. It really just depends on the climate and what position we're in.
No worries.
If we were to fund you, would you be happy to use your group to support our events and perhaps perform our events that we hold in the town centre?
That's already ring fenced with Davina.
Okay.
She's got first dibs.
So I'd like to propose that we make the grant in full on the basis of the questions that we.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those for that? Against? Abstentions? That's
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I congratulate you on everything that you've done?
Please, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're free to go now, Jeff. If you
Thank
want.
you.
I'll be in touch tomorrow or Thursday.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you.
Jane, you've been very, very patient. Waiting, so over to you. So Jade is from Spectrum Community Arts Community Grant, and they have requested a grant of £2,175.
Amazing. Hi, I'm Jade and I set up Spectrum Community Arts 8 years ago. And we provide performing arts workshops for people with disabilities and additional needs. The whole aim and ethos of Spectrum is to use music, dance and drama to help develop self-esteem, grow confidence, but ultimately provide a safe space where everybody can unapologetically be themselves. The particular project that I've kind of put the grant in for is for our Monday night sessions. So they run at the Water Eaton Church Centre, and we've got 2 sessions. We've got our Junior Rhythms group and we've got Adult Sensory Rhythms. Now, Adult Sensory Rhythms is for over 18s with really complex and profound and multiple learning disabilities. All of the participants that we currently have come with at least a one-to-one carer support for them to be able to engage in the session. And unfortunately, most of them don't access anything else like this or anything else locally. So it's written, the carers, the parents, and quite a few of them come from a particular residential house, and that manager and their staff have said how wonderful it is that there's something that they can go and do of an evening. And then our Junior Rhythms session is for 10 to 17-year-olds, and that is for those with a lower level support needs. So most of them don't need a one-to-one, but obviously they do have additional needs, special needs and disabilities. And yeah, the sessions are all about music and body percussion and rhythms and instruments and kind of making music and music making accessible for everybody, even despite the fact that most of them are non-verbal. Quite a few of them have incredibly limited mobility, and they're all there having a wonderful time. So why are we asking for money? So we cap our sessions, so there's only limited space in each of the sessions because of the needs of the participants. It can be too overwhelming and then you can't cater for everybody's needs. So the sensory session is capped at 10 and the junior rhythms is capped at 12. And we would love for the term running from Easter to the summer holidays. This is what the project is, to run those sessions. So it's a series of 11 sessions at each club, and they'll be working towards a showcase performance in July, so an opportunity to perform. Most of these performers won't ever have had that opportunity to perform, will have been excluded from school shows, etc., etc. And a big part of this grant is also for us to be able to offer other groups, residential homes, other settings, free workshops provided by the same facilitator, so that parent carers can see what it is that the sessions are going to be like. Unfortunately, the type of participants that these sessions are aimed at, because their needs are so high, we have found historically that parent carers say to us, oh, it's so nice to actually find something that is like actually catered and accessible for them. And they've gone to things that are branded and marketed as SEND friendly, but are actually aimed at those with real low level support needs. And they've been asked to leave these groups. And so Spectrum is a space where they are welcome. However, because parents have been through all of those negative experiences, there's an element of not having trust. And so I would like to do those workshops so that we can show the parent carers this is what it's all about. It is accessible, they can join in, and then hopefully we'll be able to fill the classes in order to be able to keep going in the future. I've got no idea if that was 3 minutes.
Very good.
But
Any questions from members?
I think it's difficult to sort of like gauge what to really say, because it's a new service that we've heard about in this council's, well, I've heard about anyway. I've not got any experience really in what you do and how you do it, but I think it's great.
Thank
what you're doing for that section of the community that need a bit of support.
I think it came last year, didn't you, Jane?
2023,
wasn't it? That's right.
Yes, that one,
There's
that's
a show,
when we
isn't it?
first started.
That's right.
with
I
our group.
remember it.
So
Yeah, yeah.
So pretty much the same as like the last person. My questions would be, what is there a cost to the individuals that are taking part? What, if you're doing kind of other work, what is this funding actually for? Is it just for this, or will it support other parts of your business?
So first question is, yes, there is a cost.
Yeah.
So we charge £10 per session per person. That's the cost. Obviously, if there are any families who would struggle with that cost, we would obviously talk to them about subsidising that. We also have payment plans that we can offer. But that's there to help us with longevity, otherwise we just wouldn't exist. And then, yes, this would be ring fenced specifically for this project. So the costs are for obviously venue hire, project management, marketing, and the facilitator fee, the assistant fee, our volunteer management, recruiting and onboarding our volunteers, and then sending our facilitator out to the other sessions to try and recruit more people and show what we're all about.
Okay, and again, if your participants wanted to be involved in it, would you be happy to support our events?
I'd absolutely love that, and most of the performers would love that too.
Great.
The majority of the people that come from Bletchley area?
Most of them do, but we do have people that also travel because it's so niche what we do, that we do have people that come from surrounding areas to join us too.
And what's the percentage?
I think it's around 70%, but I'd have to double check that.
70%, Bletchley.
Yeah.
Sam,
Where will these children be coming, what school will they be coming from? We don't actually have to send specialist schools in Bletchley. They're mainly up West Bletchley or further afield. So where will these children come from to do this?
Fantastic question. And I think that's where part of the, we're not full at the minute. Those particular clubs aren't full. All of our other classes that we're under in term time are full with massive waiting lists. And that's part of the reason why in this particular project, I'd like to go and offer those workshops to get people in. And the schools, I feel like lots of people, there will be people that live here that need the service that will go to other schools. So some of the participants in Junior Rhythms go to White Spire, Slated Row, but so most of them go to special schools in and around Milton Keynes. And then the adult one, the adult sensory rhythms, obviously they are out of education, which makes it even harder to find them. Now we've got 4 people in adult sensory rhythms who all live together in a residential home, and that's managed by a company that owns different residential homes locally. So I would like to offer some workshops there to show what it's about, because again, because their needs are so complex, there's but our guys can't do that. Yes, they can, let us show you.
Why I'm asking is because my son's got special needs and he goes every other week down at Watery in church.
Okay.
And they have a club, but he's a lot older. They're all older, they're adults.
Okay.
So, and plus, because it's meant to benefit our area having this.
Yes. Yeah.
There are a lot of special needs that go from our area, go to special schools all over Milton Keynes. So I just want to make sure that money is helping our community, you know, in our area.
Yeah, I mean, if you know places where we can advertise that, like, I'd love that, because that I don't live locally here, so that's something that, you know, would be great to find out.
Well, my son's like 30, so he's a lot older than the younger ones that you might want. So.
Yeah, my question is the same as the last lady. Have you had funding from major funding bodies?
Yes.
You have, yeah?
Previously, yeah.
Okay.
We've had a grant from the National Lottery, and we've had a grant from Arts Council England, or our 2 big ones, and another the Arts Council England one.
Okay, did you get the awards for all or the community?
Awards.
The community fund?
Awards for all.
Awards for all, okay.
Yeah.
I think you'd be eligible for the community fund now anyway, so.
Okay.
Yeah, which is a lot more than awards for all. So we can talk about that on a later date.
Not separate counselling to
any more questions from any of the members? Okay, so I propose that we give the full grant, I think off the back of what you do and who you do it for. And actually, you've done it before, and I know you did the show, and we got some really good feedback from the show you did as well, because I know you sent it back into the office. So I propose that we provide the full grant.
I'll second that.
Ron, all those for? No, not against. Keep up the good work, it's great.
Thank you. And you guys are like always welcome to pop in and see what the sessions are like, and I'll let you know when the showcase is. The date's going to be the 6th of July.
Yeah,
so
you guys have got any pictures that we can see
yeah,
as well, that'd be good to.
Yeah, and we've got videos and stuff, because speaking about it just doesn't do it justice, but coming into the room and seeing it is, so yeah, if anybody is interested in that, you've got my details, so get in touch. Yeah, but yeah, thank you so
We're going to be
much.
in touch as well for, you know, any of our events.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Dave.
guys.
Thank you. Okay. There's one. MP Pride. Thanks, Jay.
Chair. Just before you move on, with all the grants that we give out and the amount of money that we give out, can we have something where the town council is represented by advertising and marketing that we support these events?
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah. I think it's an acknowledgement of, you know, what we're doing. with
Jane was very
as well.
good. She did send lots of photographs back.
Yeah.
Paul, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, we showed.
There's more work we need to do from our side in terms of making sure
So
we're
supported by.
tightening up. Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Right, okay, so we've got,
We've got.
no, we've got,
It's its own item, it's its own item,
oh, okay, right, fair enough, right, let's go back. I thought that was just, it was a grant.
it's number 9.
All right.
That you can.
Should we do the MK Pride one while we're doing grants? Make a lot of sense. And then we'll go back to the exciting planning application.
That's not.
This is item 9 in your pack, which is pages 93 to 98. So, let's have a look. We've got the,
Yeah, so we sponsored the MK Pride last year. The Rainbow Package was £2.5 grand. It's kind of similar packages as you can see in the pack. So it's kind of, do we want to do it again? Or has any feedback from last year from anybody who attended? I don't know if anyone went to the actual event itself. But it's, do we want to do it again? If so, what do we want to do?
I did go last year. It was an excellent event. I think it was great to see. So I went during the day. It was actually great to see so many families there. And I think it's one of the only prides in the UK that is not just solely focused on a rave in a park with alcohol. There was actually things for the children to do. Yeah, I think it's a really good event and it's great that we have it. And there is a lot of stuff going on in the world at the moment, and I think that we need to support, you know, diverse and inclusion in the community.
so there's packages, and the smallest package is 2,500, and that's what we awarded last year, and that gets your company, your logo on the banners, program, and you get mentioned on social media. I think it is. And they got, obviously, the headline sponsor last year was Santander, which obviously they have their own negotiations on that price. It's quite a bit. Any questions? And you can donate as well, but then you can donate, but you won't get your name actually, or your branding out there at all.
Has anybody seen what the branding looked like for Bletchley for this Stratford?
I've seen it. I saw the social media post. There was one social media post with us in West Bletchley with links to the town council. You know, there's been a rainbow sponsor. Saw that.
Davina, did you see it? Because you were.
Yeah, so I went as well, and it was literally as you walked in. Did you see it? So as you walk in the main entrance, they have a big like Harris fence, and it was massive printed, and ours was kind of one of the first ones that you see. So it was really prominent. Yeah, it was really prominent.
I'm quite happy to sponsor for the same amount, for the same package as we did last year.
That proposal?
Yep.
So a second there? All those for? Those against? Good, thank you. No problem at all. Okay, so now we're going to revert back to item number 6 and the board planning. So the first one is 6.1, PLN /2 2024 2749. This is the employment land 2 and 3 of Newton Leeds, Milton Keynes, MK3 5SD. This is the erection of the 113 residential dwellings with access, parking, landscaping and associated works, and construction of store ancillary with Taylor Wimpey office. So this one here, we did not object to this application on the 21st. So we provided some comments on S106 agreement, provisions of children over the age of 8, enhanced leisure facilities, and having a contribution towards our allotment site. So, any comments on that one?
I thought we'd already responded to it.
I think we've already done it, so I think we just no comment there. We've already commented, I guess. Okay. The next one is to PLN 2025-0169. land off Princess Way near Princess Junction, Bletchley, MK2 to UP is an erection of a micro energy storage facility. I don't need to comment on that one.
I'd like to support that one. I've just been reading it. It's basically a battery, a box with lots of batteries in it that actually will take off energy and store energy for use by the community. I think it is aligned to our principles around the things that we say around sustainability and climate change. And it's a kind of new technology, and I think that we should be supporting stuff like that.
Looks nice with all the strips of wood around it as well, basically.
The fencing around here.
Eco.
I propose that we would.
Second that.
Okay.
Yeah. The third one is PLN 2024 2743 53 Osborne Street, Bletchley MK2 2LR. This is the erection of a detached 2-bedroom bungalow. It's a resubmission of a previous application, which was, I believe, declined based on parking. Yeah,
That's right.
So they resubmitted it with a parking amended, but I noticed in the comments that the highways had opposed it. So anybody, any thoughts on that one?
It's been opposed by hard ones, then we oppose it as well.
They opposed it due to, they still think there'll be lots of off-street parking required. That was their comments.
So we oppose it due to parking.
What's the same as
What did you before?
Yeah, I read it. Those in favour for that one? No, opposing, objecting, yeah.
When you're opposing it,
Yeah.
why?
Parking,
Due to parking.
off street. It's sort of Winter Street's full of parking already, isn't it?
No,
Street
in the
parking.
evening.
Yeah.
When people come out within the shops. There's nobody parking in Victoria Road right now, apart from people who live there.
I'm just following the steer from the experts. Can we go for the vote on that one? So
Yeah.
we can record that. So
Yeah.
those for the opposition opposing it, those against, and those abstaining.
I'm saying it's
Okay, let's move on to the next one. Number 4, this is the Checkers. This is plan 2024-2074, the Checkers 48 Portland Street. Listing building consent for the replacement of ground floor, front elevation windows, the replacement of front elevation cellar doors, and the refurbishment of the front elevation entrance door. Don't comment on that one?
No, from
It needs it, it's in a bad state.
Yeah. The next one is number 5 is PLN 2025-0110 11 Stadium Way, West Bletchley, West Denby North. External alterations to existing restaurant to include installation of a sliding hatch and decorative metal screen. So this is really for the delivery drivers to come and pick it up. And no comment? Nando's, it is Nando's.
no comment.
Comment. Finally, we've done that one. So the one on number 6, we've already done it already. It's a mistake in the pack. Super, thank you very much. So let's move on to note the 24-25 resident survey results report.
So, Chair, can we just,
Sorry.
put number 7?
Sorry, yeah, sorry.
Missed that, right?
Let's go back. To note the financial management report showing expenditure against budget for the year to date on community and environmental matters. It's pages 13 to 18 in your packs. So that's all right. Was there any exceptions at all from Alison?
No, that I know of, it's just the note.
Davina, anything in terms of the events?
That special thing about events later.
That's an extra thing.
Yeah, a little bit.
Note them, John. Any comments before we move on? No, thank you. Okay, so we are going to note the 24-25 residents survey, which we had a slow start, but we picked up.
Yeah, so we spoke about this in January when it was still open. We gave it a bit more of a boost. Terry shared it, people shared it as well. We've got a lot more responses, but it's just for noting and kind of, next time we're looking at maybe a different time of the year, using the newsletter for advantage. Any other comments really I'm welcome to.
I think Ray picked it up. He said it was the survey fatigue or something.
Yeah.
Ray?
Yeah.
So I think there was a lot over last year with the town deal and
absolutely
the design, etc. So
if there's anything in there as well that in the results, comment on any surprises.
I think it's just made this comment last time, so just the open-ended questions.
I've got that here. I didn't put it on because they put it restricted, but the language is great, so I can share that with you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I have got.
I was going to say, how many of this number were paper versus online?
I haven't got it to hand, but there were, I would say, probably about 20 to 30% came in paper at the end. From my head, but I can get the exact number. I haven't got it. But it was quite popular.
The percentage.
Yeah.
I mean,
they wait out on it.
I think I say this every year, but I'll say it again. I think that I know it's nice for it to be on paper, and some people like paper, but it just costs us more. And I think that we have to kind of sit there and kind of go, everything is going more digital now. Is this something that we want to consider for the future? Because the officer time, we're a small team, and the officer time in having to kind of transfer everything from paper into the survey tool, I think is a thing. So I just want to mention it, and councillors, if they want to challenge or kind of have a different view, they can put that forward. But I think that we really need to consider costs going forward.
Yeah, I think older people struggle with it, and if you go totally digital, you are going to lose the views of the older people, because most of the older people do not want to use apps, do not want to go online. I'm not saying there's all older people. I'm just saying that there is a large chunk of older people in our community that won't engage with digital.
I sort of concur as well that there's sections of the community that don't go online, that don't reach our portal, and will reach our portal by paper. I mean, I had a load of them filled out and gave back to you by paper, and a lot of people do miss out on questions. They miss out on what's going on in Bletchley because they're not that engaged. If you thrust something in their face and say, out, this is going to affect you, you're going to get a bit more uptake. So I do understand where you come from, Ethan, but on the same side, the flip side of the coin, there's those people that we want to reach that we don't get to reach because they don't engage in the first place unless you slap it in their face. So, so we're only going to get those, a small section of the community.
Just to come back on that, I think that there are other things that could be done to widen access. So, for example, if we had, say, 1,000 responses and 300 came in on paper, it would actually be cheaper to send officers down to the library and have sessions where they sat there and they actually helped people put it in on a tablet and than actually getting 300 bits of paper and doing it individually. And I think there is more than, for me, one way of doing this, and I think we, even banks now are kind of assisting older people to kind of move to that technology. And I just think it's something for consideration, and perhaps it's, maybe it's one for the officers to have a think about and come back before we do the next one to see if there are any alternatives so that councillors can choose from a range of options.
When you're going on the paper, what's the cost of it? If you see about getting 1,000 pieces of paper out, what is the true cost of that? I mean, that's what we probably need to evaluate.
Well, we've done it before, haven't we? We did it before with the company we use. I haven't got the figure in front of me, but I can send you, what we paid for printed copies to go to everyone in our area. I think it's about £2,000-3,000 off my head.
We've also got to balance officer time. So who's going to do it, when they're going to do it, where they're going to do it, who's going to be, do you know what I mean? So there's always this thing about officer time and officers doing all the work all the time. Do you know what I mean? So that's where I'm a bit more, do you know what, the public need to start to engage with this process rather than officers always having to go somewhere and sit there for half a day and still not get the uptake that we should have. We've done it before. We've been out on the streets before, haven't we? We've gone to certain locations and we're sitting there with tablets and stuff like that. And, you know, I just think, yes, there might be a different way, Ethan, but I also think we need to just make sure that we reach everyone.
Yeah.
How many times a year do we send that out to every household? 3, 4?
Usually quarterly.
Yeah, so it's 4 a year.
So if we had a survey, why couldn't we just stick it in there? At least it go to every house.
We've done that the other year. We put a page was the survey, and people cut it out and gave it into the, and then it's officer time to input the. That's the I'm referring to there, the time it takes for officers. But that it did well. You know, going into the newsletter and incorporating it into the cost of the newsletter. You know, we pay that for the newsletter.
Because what we don't want to do, we don't want to exclude anybody. So the more people that fill in or do it online or whatever, because look at that last one we've done, that was embarrassing, you know, and then Terry whacked it on our web page and you got a load more back suddenly because I sent it off to everybody, you know. But I mean, I think let's stick it in the back of that and see how we go. At least if you do get a good feedback from it, then we can.
But the thing is, we do think, you know, our services are around the feedback we get from the survey. If you look at the highest response % on the current services, 81% environmental and landscaping. Yeah, that's one of our services. These are our sort of big ticket items. The town centre, the Christmas lights, the CCTV. There's nothing that we don't do, which free swimming, well-being. So it's all there. So it confirms to us that we're providing the right service to them, and there's no others outside of that where we should be. So it's really trying to sell it that this does mean something. It doesn't go to a black hole and we just think, oh great, done a survey, tick that box. We actually do something within our plans.
Could we do something to incentivise people to fill it out online? Because I mean, if it's saving officer time, you know, there's, I don't know, 50 quid voucher or something like that you can win or something, you know, there's some kind of an incentive, you know, tickets to an event, local events or something like that.
I think that's great.
Yeah, incentivise, definitely, yeah. It's net zero, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
That saves our officer time as well, doesn't it?
Exactly.
So it pays for itself.
Yeah. No, so we can do that. So John, I think we're looking for options.
Yeah, we can do a bit more work on it anyway, the officer team.
And actually, I think we should also go through some of the comments as well, because I did make a place that we would look at the comments we're getting as well to make sure that they've been fed in. They've been, not saying do an FAQ, but things we go back to say this and this. It's not us. This is Milton Keynes Council, you know. Yeah. So it's taken away that, you know, who's accountable for doing this. Some of the things just reinforcement of our services. Really, but yeah, we got there in the end. But a slow start, but a bit of a race. Okay. Any more comments on that one before we move on? But we're definitely going to go through that. Yeah, and
I'll send it around.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so item number 11. So we're going to cross over to Davina now on community events. So the first one is the report on the arrangements for the community iftar 2025. And then we're going to have a review of the community events for the financial year, and then confirm the budget plan program events for this year. Over to you, Davina. Thank you very much.
Okay, cool. So just, I'm going to whiz through it, to be honest. So we've got iftar, our second community iftar, very exciting, coming up in just over a couple of weeks. Our ticket capacity is at 250, of which the majority, I think we're sitting at 70% are Bletchley and Fenny Stratford Town Council residents, because we've been validating by postcode. So we're still doing a bit of a push to try and get that final number up as high as possible. But I don't think we'll get to 100%, quite frankly, to be honest. But yeah, I would love that, but I don't think we'll get to 100%. But we're definitely better than we were last year. And doing the postcode validation has absolutely helped.
Yeah.
And we've been working with some of the other local businesses to get it out to their audiences and things like that. So we've been a lot more targeted this year with how we reach the audience to let them know that this event is happening. Obviously, with it being the second one as well, you generate a bit more interest than you do on the first one. So that's cool. So we're back at Palatial Hall, so the same venue that we used last time because it worked out really well. They've worked with us to reduce costs as well, and so we're getting a bit more for our money on that as well, so a bit more value. We're working with Saf's Kitchen again. From the catering perspective, we've taken on some of the feedback from last year around kids portions and things like that, and so actually we've got a separate kids menu that's going to work out better, and we're looking at kind of portion sizes and things like that to reduce any waste or leftovers that we had at the end as well. Councillor Aisha Khanum is working with us again on this as well to make sure that we're reaching the right audiences and helping us with catering and organisation. We've got Clearwater people helping us with teams. We're reducing officer time, but we've got more bodies helping with things like service and stuff, because that obviously we needed to streamline service of food at fast break time. So we're working on that. Yeah, and we've got Asian Network MK who were with us last time doing a live stream of the event. They're back with us this year as well, so we're really grateful to them to kind of broadcast the event on the day, and again reaching those diverse audiences across the area. So that's Iftar. Any questions?
So I think the people who've applied, have they confirmation that they've got a place?
Yeah, they did that. Yeah. So that all went out last year. And so basically, anyone with the Bletchley and Fenny Stratford Town Council postcode has had confirmation that they've definitely got a place. Anyone without has had confirmation to say that they're on the wait list. And then by the end of the week, they'll basically get confirmation to say that they can definitely come based on numbers and stuff like that.
And if any more councillors want to come, let us know. We've got the
we've got room for
got a few people
VIPs.
that have responded, but if anyone else wants to come that hasn't responded, then they're doing so.
I
More than welcome.
think I went last year. I saw you there, Terry.
Yeah, Marie went.
My son loved it. I was on a table with, you would not believe it. I was on a table with somebody else who had adopted a child, and she'd adopted a Muslim boy, and he had no Muslim family. So he was like, they loved that event because actually he was able to take part in something that is his culture, and his adoptive mother was not from that background, and she also wasn't local. So it was great that that they were able to access that.
Yeah, and that's really the value of the event, to try and bring those cultures together and create a more accessible space for everyone to experience it.
I really felt honoured to be there.
Yeah, it was such a lovely event. It was really nice.
Really good.
Looking forward to it.
So are you in budget?
Of course I'm in budget, really.
Just want to know. Have you spent all that money?
I have spent it all, but I'm in budget.
Regarding capacity.
Yes, we're increased capacity this year, so we've got 50 more guests. So because we're able to work with our suppliers to reduce pricing, we're able to accommodate more guests. So the costing overall, the budget is the same, but we're getting better value for it. Is that the right answer?
That's the right answer.
There we go. Okay, cool. So I shall move on to the next one unless there's anything else. Cool. So we reviewed last year at a very, very high level. It was fabulous. Last year's events was absolutely brilliant. We obviously, this community iftar coming is in like last year, this year's financial year. So technically it's our second one. So to be able to re-deliver that is brilliant. We had a brand new event, the patch at Leon Rex, our pumpkin patch. First of all, thank you to anyone council-wise who was involved. Jason, you're an absolute star on the day. DJ Jason absolutely kept the vibes going. We had a big thank you to Fenny Poppers as well for our hay bales. So from a sustainability perspective, we were able to reuse hay bales from the August festival that they had. Those hay bales are now currently being used at a farm somewhere else. So it's a great sustainability story. To use Leon Rec in that way, in a really family-friendly community way. We were blessed with weather as well, which was rare at last year's events. So the patch was a really great highlight For us, obviously we had a bit of a blip at Christmas because of the weather. We had to cancel the event, but there were definitely some positives that came out of that unfortunate situation. We obviously, it was the first time we were using our inclement weather procedure. So to know that the key milestones we had in that process were right and were relevant, so we could make some key decisions and health and safety decisions in a timely manner. And then we were able to work really well with a lot of our suppliers to kind of pull together a retro Christmas party, which was just fabulous, wasn't it, Terry? It was absolutely brilliant. So we had dinosaurs, we had DJs, we had Santa, we used our brand new grotto as well. So we were able to kind of claw back some of potential loss to deliver something, at least for the community, as a Christmas event. It also helped us to see what an indoor Christmas event would look like. Fenny Stratford in Fenny Stratford Community Centre, which is a tiny venue compared to the numbers that we need to accommodate, but it allows us to look at the kind of operationally how that would look, and if we scaled it up, what could we do? Because we need to obviously do some serious thinking about this year's Christmas.
Yeah,
to minimise.
Called off, so.
Yeah, so we're going to work very hard on that. So yeah, so last year, so we came in with an underspend because we had to obviously cancel Christmas. And we had to make a tough decision around Luna as well, because of staffing. But apart from that, I think a successful event year, quite frankly.
That's brilliant. Yeah, the feedback we always get is terrific.
Yeah, some of the summer feedback from the
and moving that
survey
stage to the side. I know we had a big debate on that, but it was the right decision.
Yes, yeah, 60 mile an hour wind, like we can't. Yeah, we can't put people at risk. So there we go. So that was last year. So moving on to the 25-26 budget and year. Fabulous. We've got Easter as our first one in April, and obviously we'll put together a working group and talk about kind of the details of these events in that. So we've got 19th of April for Easter, which is a Saturday. The Big Street Eat planned for the last Saturday of July as normal, so the 26th of July. The patch will make a welcome return on Halloween itself, as we always do, because it's half term as well. Christmas for the first Saturday of December. We are committed to delivering Lunar New Year this year, this next coming year. It's the year of the horse, which is quite exciting. And then a third community iftar in March will round off the events year for 25-26. So I suppose for me, I just need you to tell me you're happy with that. And set a date for the next working group update, please.
Any comments, Ron?
We've got to have new Christmas lights this year, haven't we?
We have, yeah.
Yeah. So will we be going with the same company, or will we be having a look at everything again?
We're going to look again, yeah. We'll go out to tender, yeah.
Can we say thank you to the team for a good year? I mean, I'm always happy to see an event in Bletchley Town Centre, especially the Big Street Eat. It is about bringing the community together and diversity, you know, communication, cooperation, understanding, which is the ethos of this council, I believe, is to get the community together. So a big thank you to the team.
Yeah, echo that. Anything else, Davina?
No, just a date for the next working group update. So I've made some suggestions on the.
Yeah, they're on Teams.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
just on Teams. Is it better for me to just send an email with some dates and then we can kind of work out? Yeah.
Super.
Thank you. Thank you.
Other questions? Okay.
Approved.
Approved.
All approved.
Yes. Yeah. We'll find that one. Let's go on to item number 12. So over to you, Will, to see a report on the environmental matters and to approve leasing of additional landscape equipment.
Thank you. So you'll see that the first section of the report is on the allotments. You can see that the waiting list for the allotments is very short now. We've only actually got 9 unique people waiting for plots at the moment. So that has gone out in the newsletter and on social media to try and attract more people onto our waiting list. We've had a lot of.
Sorry, with regards to that, do we want to reach out to Stoke Hammond to offer Newton Lees to members of the Newton Lees bit of Stoke County. They've got their own gate to the door, which we don't.
I mean, they can already.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't exclude them. We take people from our parish first,
Yeah.
but yeah, certainly we could potentially get something out in Stoke Hammonds newsletter, or I love it. Yeah. Because we've had quite a high turnover of allotments in recent months. So since the 1st of October, we've had 37 plots sort of come and go. And we're currently sitting at 6 vacant plots, with viewings being arranged on those.
Well, just before you move on, do you know why there's a little bit of turnover? Is there, have you had any feedback from people wanting to leave? And we know why people want it.
You seem to have this pattern. I mean, during COVID, everyone wanted one. It was a means of getting out, and you know, we had a real bolstering of the waiting list. But I don't know if council members remember, prior to COVID, we were in a similar situation where we quite often had a few vacant plots that were waiting for people to, you know, you sort of have these patterns over the years, I think, where they go in and out of favour.
And being an allotment holder on a different area, if you have a bad year the year before, like last year was terrible, your enthusiasm does go down, even though you carry on again. It was terrible season last year.
I was going to say, I think with Newton Lees, I know that there's been a lot of house moves this year, and people move out of the area because of the secondary school catchment. And so I think that a lot of people in Newton Lees have been moving because they're trying to get their child into a school that they really want to go to. So that's why I think it's more rather than the site. And also I think there's something about the site being really new and it being harder work than actually a site that's not so new, which is, you know, had years of nutrients being put into the ground, etc., etc.
That's all right. And then the next section in the report is just the landscape inquiries we've had since the last meeting. So there's only 7 there that we've had. I mean, there have been more than that, but some of them have been ones that came in that were actually West Bletchley, and you know, they're ones that we've actually had to sort of respond to. So, you know, I think given that there's only sort of 7 inquiries come in, but I hope that means that we're doing a good job. Next section is just sort of an overview of the progress. So during the winter months, the team sort of systematically work their way through the parish, doing all of the shrub maintenance and crown lifting. So that's what's going on at the moment. They've also brought back into a manageable condition some areas that have been neglected over the years. And also have worked with some volunteer groups. So we did bulb planting with the Green Gym, for instance. We worked with MK Canals, which is a charity group, chipping the waste that they produced in an area along the canal side in Fenny, Stratford. There's some few little pictures there of some of the work that's gone on, just to give you an example of some of the things that have happened. And then we come on to something that we need a decision on. So we are, or soon will be, recruiting an additional member to the landscape team, in line with the new mowing season. So along with that, we need to consider the additional equipment that we need. So we're looking at a third mower. That will give us the ability to increase the speed and quantity of mowing operation. This will enable the team to better stay ahead of the spring flush, to increase the number of cuts across the year, and to finish each cycle quicker, enabling the backup and handwork to be carried out between cuts. So we've had a quote from our existing supplier, George Brown's, for £500 a month for an additional Kubota F Series mower. So the same basically as what we're operating currently. And that contract would run alongside the current contract we've got in place. So when that comes to an end in August 2028, all of the mowers will finish at that point. So they'll run concurrently. The mowers and Brown's as a supplier have proved to be really reliable up until now. And officer recommendation would be to take that additional mower at the price that's been quoted from Brown's.
Regarding the equipment, have we had any real major breakdowns or repairs that is needed?
Yeah, quite a number over the
last year.
Yeah, over the sort of 18 months that we've had them. Yeah, a number of breakdowns. The package that we're in with the 2 mowers that we've got currently and that we would be in with this is all encompassing. So it includes breakdown, repair. It includes all of the yearly servicing. And Brown's have been very good at getting out to us very quickly and making those repairs.
So it's just worth noting that if we had bought our own equipment, we would have had to do all them repairs ourselves.
We would.
It would have been very expensive, wouldn't it?
It would.
So it's quite good that we're hiring instead of buying it ourselves.
We know that Browns are closing down Leighton Buzzard. I wasn't at the meeting when it was discussed, but was there any question around how they'll support us going forward and whether we're happy with that?
It is a bit of an unknown because they've only just moved out of Leighton Buzzard. So their hire operation has moved to Chesham. I mean, Chesham isn't that far away. You know, we might not expect them to be out the same day like they have been on occasion when we've had problems. You know, it may be slightly slower. But I see no reason why, you know, they shouldn't still be able to service us in relatively the way that they have done today.
So it's.
And then in addition to that, we're looking at a change of equipment. So we've currently got a Grillo ride-on brush cutter, which is used for rougher areas of the landscape. So sort of rough grass, like on the railway side of Drayton Road and in Saffron areas of Saffron Gardens. So we're looking at potentially sort of handing that mower back and replacing it with a flail deck that will fit any one of the 3 ride-on mowers that we would then have if you approve the third mower. So it's another benefit of having 3 mowers. The flail deck could be fitted to that rough grass could be mowed while the other 2 mowers are still out. You know, so it wouldn't slow up the overall cycle. And using the flail deck rather than the ride-on brush cutter it operates much more quickly. It's much more manoeuvrable. So, you know, effectively we're looking at that as being a better option. We pay 167.67 for the ride-on brush cutter. We can hand that back without any penalty. So we'll no longer have that charge. And the flail deck for the other mowers is £160 per calendar month. So it's a net saving of pence, but it's, you know, it's not an additional cost.
No.
Happy to support the officer's recommendation.
Do you have a seconder? All those in favour? Thank you very much. Yes, maybe it makes all the difference. You can still. We'll
be able to go even further with an additional man and more equipment.
Okay. Next one. So last. Okay, so item number 13 is to review a draft. Oh, guys, that's what we've, so, okay. The review of the draft community resilience plans recommended for adoption by full council, pages 131 and 162 in your packs. Just speak to that one.
This one's William, actually.
So it's obviously, it's quite a lengthy document, so I'm hoping that members have had a skim through at least. Effectively, it's a plan, so it's a draft plan currently, to provide the basis for assisting our community in the event of an emergency. So the aim is to provide an emergency plan that will increase the resilience of the affected community, our community, within the boundary of Bletchley and Fenny Stratford Town Council. Objectives are to identify the risks to the community and related response actions that may be taken, identify resources available to assist during an emergency, provide key contact details for Bletchley and Fenny Stratford Town Council councillors and staff, and to ensure the safety and welfare of our staff and members of the community who put themselves forward to assist. And then, so that's the aims and objectives of the document. Obviously, like I say, it's quite a lengthy document. I wasn't intending to sort of go through it all, but welcome to obviously questions or.
Yes, I was just going to ask about the sort of the initial first aid. So, I mean, what sort of level of first aid training do some of the officers have, and how many of the officers do have the first aid training?
All officers actually are first aid trained, yeah. So we've all got first aid training.
Is that sort of enough for like events and things like that?
Events we have a first aid crew.
Oh, right, so they are, right, I see.
Yeah.
So defibrillators as well, they're probably trained on defibrillators as well?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I think that, you know, because I did ask you for this document at some point, when we had that fire at Stevenson's house and they had to be evacuated onto the streets. It was very cold.
Yeah.
And I think you just started working for us. I think that's
Yeah,
one of
yeah,
the first
not
weeks
long, yeah.
you started working, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I wanted to know what our response was from the town council point of view and what community centres could have been opened. Was there tea and coffee available for residents? Was there, you know, because it was a cold day and residents were standing outside until the emergency services had finished their checks of Stevenson's house. There was a lot of people out on the streets and didn't have somewhere to go. So it was all about our response to the town council. What are we prepared to do as town council to look after our residents in a major emergency? What is it we're going to do? How can we get that message across to the public? What community centres can be opened at a minute's notice? So this is this document here.
That's the sort of detail that's in here about opening emergency reception centres.
We did have an emergency and it was like, oh shit. And the toilets open. It was a Sunday, I think, wasn't it, Ron?
That's right, yeah.
It was the toilets open, and we had to get the toilets open quite quickly, didn't we? Yeah. So this is that response to that emergency that happened a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So would you like feedback from the members?
Yeah, any feedback would be welcome. I mean, it'll go to full council because it's a council policy.
Yeah.
So it's
a very thorough document.
It's you know, yeah. Looking for you to recommend it to full council.
A couple of suggestions. So I think I noticed that St Joseph's Newton Leeds was not in the list of base towns, so that would be good. I think also there's a lot of mobile numbers in here. I would suggest that we kind of may have some way of denoting which ones are private numbers and which ones are council numbers, because for instance, if we give this document to, say, Milton Keynes Council, I think there's a couple of officers that use their own mobile phones rather than Shannon's mobile phones. And also, members that might not want their number being publicly given out, so it might just.
Yeah, I mean, it's a confidential document.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely, it's a confidential
But
document.
I think if you're the community resource coordinator and you've got all of those details and those phone numbers, and someone asks you for the number and it's an emergency, if it's identified in there, that it can be given or not given, I think it's really useful for the council.
Is there one, in an emergency, you want one number, don't you, or a couple of numbers that are directly phoned that we can give out to the public in case of, say, like getting hold of you, say, for instance, which is directed. I don't know how we can do this where there's an emergency number, it gets directed to someone's mobile phone, like a landline number directed to someone in an emergency, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I
mean, yes, you're going to get flooded with loads of calls, but so are emergency services. But what is our response from the town council in an emergency? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, obviously very much depends on what that emergency is. This sort of details, you know, how we form our response to an emergency situation.
So, regards to an emergency, say for instance, if someone phoned 909, would they then phone us as a town council for support, extra services and stuff like that? Do you know what I mean?
Well, we can approach them and make sure that they know that we've...
Having that joined up approach, if someone phones 909 and there's a fire, would the fire officers say, for instance, yeah, they'd be en route, but would they be then, right, we need to phone the council to get things opened up and somewhere for people to go and things like that. So
yeah, well,
that joined up approach that I'm looking at.
Of course, yeah, that's the idea of this document, that we'd, effectively there's a flow chart that you know, if you're the person sort of first on the scene, you follow that and
that's it.
It'll take you to the right.
I believe this is a great idea. Hopefully, we never have to use it.
Well, absolutely.
You know, Richard said that day on that Sunday, you know, it was just panic, and luckily, me and Richard got involved and got things done. But I mean, and got the toilets opened and everything. But I mean, if you got a plan, but it's lucky I knew to ring Richard, who to ring to get the key. You know, but if there's something there that can be done, any one of us can do it. You know.
I mean, the idea is all members would have a copy of this. Yeah. So then you'd all have access to each other's numbers, officer numbers, MK council numbers, you know, numbers in the event of a flood, and you know, so there's lots of useful numbers to call in here. As well as other detail.
I think we should propose a council.
Just one other question. So was this written internally by the officers, like entirely, or did we consult with anybody?
It made use of a template provided by Milton Keynes Council that they hand out to parishes. Yeah.
Okay. Consistent.
It's been doctored.
I think we recommend this document from the council for approval.
Yeah, that's it.
Second.
All those in favour? That is the last item on the agenda. Thank you very much for your time. We'll close the meeting at 20:58.